Welcome back to Tea Time with me, Shelly Chopra. Today's big guest, mega guest, has to be Greg Norman, the legendary golfer who joins me on the show. And guess what? You're in for a serious lesson on building a brand from a man who really knows how to be the shark in business. Greg, what does the brand Greg Norman or the Shark stand for? What has gone into building this brand philosophically?
Everything that has my logo on it, my brand recognition, has everything to do about my lifestyle. It's connected and validated in every way, shape or form. And it doesn't matter whether it's a wholly owned part of GWSC or whether it's a joint venture part of GWSC or it's just a royalty stream. There is connections, like I said, those concentric circles. So, just to digress a little bit, it's kind of tough being the living brand in a lot of ways because, you carry that image wherever you go and you carry that responsibility of having to grow that. And the responsibility is not just to the people who work for me, but the people who work for Greg Norman Collection or work for the wine business, Greg Norman Estates, or work in the real estate or the development side of things. So there's a lot of other things that really float around this. So the responsibilities that lay on my shoulders because of this shark logo sitting here on my chest and to where it has gone today is huge, but I love it.
Do you think, based on your experience, it'll become really hard for another large brand to come through?
I think it's different nowadays. I think the approach to management of some of these athletes, it's very hard to build a brand around an athlete from a management company's perspective, because most management companies want to treat you as a pass-through entity. Where you get an endorsement deal 3 to 5 years, you get your constant revenue stream coming in, and they really don't want to build a brand around that person, which I can understand that. But when you get a image around you, I'm trying to make an analogy here, maybe a Michael Jordan, for example. For one, where that logo, his logo of going for a slam dunk, but the overriding logo over there is the Nike swoosh. So how do you build a true enterprise brand when the parent Nike swoosh the swoosh is probably the most important part of that. With myself, for example, I don't have those problems. So you have to really understand it. It's not that easy. I've known a few other players who've wanted to get in that space of building a brand around themselves, but it takes a long time to build a credibility. It takes a long time to build a successful base under a clothing business, for example. And once you get that base, then you have the opportunity to go do royalty streams, like maybe a watch deal, a licensing deal for watches, or a licensing deal for fragrances. But you have to have that base underneath you to give you that opportunity.
I'm very interested to ask you this because we're talking about sport, which is actually seeing a transition world over in different forms and shapes. Cricket, for one, is a sport that's seen several new formats, a lot of tinkering with the way cricket is played across the world. Is there a case for golf to be made into a shorter format, more pacier game? I mean, I can't imagine any golfer agreeing with me on this, but what do you feel?
No, I wouldn't think so. I think we've had our made for TV golf matches, and they're successful. They'll always be successful, like the skins game, like special events. They're going to be there. That's not going to be a problem. So golf is 18 holes. Golf is that. So at the end of the day, anybody trying to change it might do a one-off deal, and it may be successful and maybe not. What they've done with cricket is tremendous. I mean, the 2020 is absolutely fantastic. I love watching it, because I was a cricketer growing up playing cricket, and to see the excitement in it. But I still love watching Test cricket.
And since you have been a cricketer, who are your favorite cricketers back here, the ones that you sort of eagerly watch out for? Or cricket, I guess, because India is so big on it.
Well, yeah, I love cricket. I love Test cricket. I love the rivalry between the Australians and the Indians, and I think it's fantastic. I love the rivalry, whether it's Australia playing New Zealand in rugby. I like that. I like team spirits. I like the team competition. I think cricket has done a tremendous job over the last 30 years of giving back to the players to some degree.
My last question to you, Greg, has to be to try and find out when you're planning your trip here and what could really bring you here.
I don't have anything on the near-term horizon, but I would say in the next year there's a good chance of that taking place.
On that note, Greg Norman, thank you very much for joining us here on Tea Time with me, Shelley Chopra. You're with ET Now, and this is a huge interview for you to look out for. Corporate, branding and golf lessons with none other than the legendary golfer Greg Norman. That wraps up this episode. Thanks for joining us. Next week, back on the course.